Two.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to Matt and John make a podcast. This is episode 76, and we have a lot to talk about this week, Matt,
Good
and
variety.
yeah, a good variety,
Yep.
and one of which has been pretty big news in the world of professional wrestling, more specifically WWE. And that is WWE. The WWE network is like no more. Because they are going to be moving to NBC's Peacock streaming services beginning on like March 18th. Um,
Yeah. The
so
U.S. So just
yeah,
verify the
US
U.S. portion. Yeah.
US. Internationally, you everything will still be streamed on their service.
Hmm.
They're still, but they have two it looks like that they have two tiers here, tiers here. 499 is for ads, and like 999 for their premium would obviously be without ads.
Yep.
So Matt, initial thoughts on this deal here.
It was kind of initially it was kind of out of left field earlier in the week, um, but it in a way I think it's good business sense. It is a great move for both. Um, for NBC in the Peacock app, you get more subscribers, more eyes on the their submission on their app. Um, so you get that, and with if you get just the basic $4.99 deal, you get ads, so that's more revenue, and it's just more money for NBC and NBC, the whole NBC Universal with that. For consumers, if you already have Comcast, I believe it just made Comcast, maybe something
No,
else.
it's Cox Cox cable. I think also they you get that for
It's
free,
not Cox.
or yeah, or like Cox or whatever the hell
It's
that's called.
not to be to be funny, but not to be funny. Yeah, I think it's that too.
Yeah,
It should be already included in your cable package. I think most cable packages.
which good for
So
us though.
for us here,
Yeah.
instead of paying what 10.49, that's for that taxes included
Mhm.
for 9.9 for sake of simplicity, 9.99 for the network plus you know, whatever. We don't have to pay 9.99 presumably, and we just absorb the network into Peacock,
Yeah.
and it's free for us. And I don't think we have. I don't know if we have ads on our thing. I think we get the premium plus. I think at the very least the premium. Regardless, we get it for free.
Yeah.
So that's good for us. And then at least good for everybody who doesn't have Comcast, because you save about $5 a month if you have to pay for Peacock Premium. And if you if you're okay with still paying $9.99 a month for no ads, you can do that, and
Mhm.
you don't lose money. You don't have to spend more, so that's good. For WWE side, um, I at first I thought they didn't have to really um, manage their streaming up in house. I don't know if that's the case because they're still doing it internationally. Um, but for WWE, you're getting what reportedly was it $2 billion or $1 billion.
Yeah. Reportedly a little over 1 billion. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for a multi-year agreement for that. So you
five years,
WWE,
5 years to be
yeah.
to be to be specific.
Um, I guess this article is crap that I'm reading then. Um, which you get that money coming in, so you're making money probably stocks are going up. I didn't check those as of yet, but they probably will. And then you get potentially more people exposed to your product, because let's say just a regular person, streaming stuff, and pops up on the app, WWE, and like, free, let me look, and you can take a taste of current stuff. It may be like, hey, I never watched
To
in a
mention
while.
as well, Matt, all of
Her
all
pay-per-views.
of the pay-per-views,
Yeah.
and to all of the excellent documentaries that they got as well. They're all going to be over there as well.
Yeah.
So.
And past shows, past Raw, SmackDowns,
Right.
Old WCW, all those pay-per-views.
ECW,
Pretty much
yeah.
pretty much everything that's there now is just streamlined there.
Yeah.
And so you can watch an episode of The Office and then switch over to NXT or whatever.
And kind of speaking of NXT, Matt, and this kind of also piggybacks last week of NBC announcing that the NBC Sports Network was essentially being canceled, was being done. So I have the feeling now with NXT specifically, Matt, I have a feeling they might be moving that show over on the like Peacock streaming app there. Well,
I wouldn't be surprised, because I'm thinking, where else could they go?
Right.
You're obviously not doing USA, because that's probably going to be hockey now.
Yeah.
Not the main NBC. I would be just extremely shocked if they put it on the main channel.
Right.
Which that would be a get for WWE and NXT.
That would be huge, actually.
Like I would assume the viewership would go up anyways, because it's more basic.
If anything, I would have like Raw on there and not NXT. I mean, I feel like that makes
with this multi-year deal, when the TV negotiations come up, it's going to be hard for Vince. They're not leaving NBC.
No.
They're going to have some foot on TV, because that would not, business-wise, that's not a good.
Well, and something else. I was watching.
Look at NBC's lineup here,
and I was watching Sean Ross Sapp and like Jimmy Van's podcast this afternoon, and Jimmy Van brought up an interesting thing that we should probably also consider is like this could be NBC dipping in their toes as far as like, do they maybe someday just like buy the company altogether? Yeah, just because hey, you're already paying two separate billion-dollar contracts
to
that's
that
company right now, and it's like, well, if it's going to be a really profitable thing for you, and while on top of that you have been in like business with WWE for over 30 years, it's like,
I would, if they do that, I would hope. Okay, I don't think that happens until
Vince is gone.
Vince passes.
Mm-hmm.
If for some reason, and if they do that, I hope it's not like, it's hypothetically, let's say Triple H is in charge, right?
Yeah,
I hope if NBC
he's like
does
Dana White. Yeah, he's like Dana White.
That it's not, and the NBC execs like having their fingerprints on everything, because you've seen in other shows in the past, when you have the suits make it kind of ruins everything.
WCW is a great example of that right there.
Yeah, I think SNL, there's an under NBC with, one that comes to mind would be like taking Norm Macdonald off of Weekend Update, which he was ruthless there. Yeah. But like the one suit, he tells the story, says, "Oh, you're not funny. We're just like." if it's just like, okay, leave it to like people who know wrestling, like Triple H obviously knows wrestling, would be good. But that's an interesting thing. Looking in the NBC's lineup, it's you talk about NXT and Raw. Monday, you have The Voice in Manifest, and then Voices again on Tuesday. Maybe, I don't know. But Wednesday, I doubt for NXT if the shows are the same, because it's your Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD dramas.
Yeah,
unless they move them a Wednesday night. Thursday is your Superstore, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Law and Order, 2 Law and Order shows. Friday, SmackDown's on Fox. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So,
but if they move it to Friday, let's say you got your Blacklist and Dateline. Tuesday was The Voice, This Is Us, and New Amsterdam. You're not moving This Is Us because This Is Us kills. So it's gonna be tough.
I
would assume it. I assume Raw still stays on USA. NXT probably on Peacock.
Yeah, I agree.
Which that would be interesting because
because
you really can't do the ratings essentially go away because it's hard to like.
It really doesn't matter at that point. And if anything, AEW is going to really benefit from that just because it's essentially taking them off of like a network network TV there. So it's
let's see what other channels NBC Universal has.
I think they have Sci-Fi. I'm pretty sure that they have Sci-Fi.
I still wouldn't go there. They have NBC, E, Sci-Fi, USA, Bravo, E, Oxygen, Universal Kids. I think that's I wouldn't go to Sci-Fi.
No.
They got the sports.
To me, it's
Golf
either
Channel,
like
MLB, NBC Sport, NBC SN. That's going away. Well, they have Fandango. I didn't know that. They have Hulu. They have 33%. Oh, I didn't know they have 33% in Hulu, even though Disney kind of owns that. Oh. So I'm assuming streaming, because if they're doing everything switching to streaming now, I think that's NXT's, because it's already on there the next day or whatever.
Exactly.
So
I feel like
run it live. You can run it live, and then immediately
it gives them consistent live weekly content every single week. It like, to me, I feel like that's definitely where it's going.
NBC, because there's channels on there already. It's just a constant, like, you can watch just constant stuff of like The Office, like forever and ever. They just episodes, so you could do live things there. It's gonna be interesting how many people, if you get the 600 to 800,000 people continuing to watch on there, if it goes up or does it go down, because now you're paying for it. Essentially,
I'm gonna wager it probably won't be anywhere like near that.
I would say it's at least gonna be close.
But it's really hard to say just because we don't know.
Because this is really new.
Right. We don't know how many people on that streaming service are going to actually watch WWE,
New people, or how many people are going to move. I would assume most of the people move over because it's cheaper and or the same without ads. I'm interested in how the ads go if you're like watching like a replay of like a pay-per-view and an ad pops up. That would be annoying, but if it's still $9.99, then it's okay. Like, people are like freaking out that they have to pay like in addition to. No, it's just transition over.
Yeah, like you like cancel your freaking like network subscription, and you go over to Peacock. that's it. And whereas like for us, we don't have to pay a single dime. So since we're already since it's already part of our Comcast cable provider. But and this is something I was also thinking about too, Matt. When this deal came down, is like this just gives further motivation. I feel like on like Vince's side to really not change a damn thing, and I'm talking about like Raw specifically. As we watched on Monday, it's like this man just got another $1 billion contract from NBC, and they have been running shitty TV on that freaking network for God knows how long. More and more specifically on like Monday nights. Like I mean, there is definitely goods and bads, and to me,
Yeah.
the bads of this, it's not going to change a damn thing in how Vince presents his wrestling. You know.
Yeah, on the flip side, there to piggyback off that, I can see a scenario like of the execs of NBC being like, "Hey, we're paying you $2 billion for this. We're paying you all this for the TV show. How about we improve a little bit here? Get the rating." Like, they could say that.
They could, but at the same time,
yeah, they play devil's advocate,
right? But if they did not actually have that done when they signed their TV contracts, just find it really hard to believe that anything would change now. But then again, they are now in a deeper commitment now.
Debt. Yeah.
Yeah. So and Matt, if you think about the NBC deals and the Fox deal, this company is getting over $600 million just off of their TV and their streaming. Like, that's ridiculous to think about.
Whatever Vince is doing is working in terms of getting money and distribution.
We can criticize his god awful creative ideas and stuff, but man, as a like businessman, we cannot question it. The man,
no, you
just
cannot.
Because now, if they really wanted to actually sell the company now, I mean, like, I think
buttload of money.
Yeah, because to me, they would definitely get like more than what the like UFC got with from like their sale, which was around $4.2 billion or something like that. So it's all so insane, but definitely times are changing, and I do wonder how the whole like platform of like viewing is going to be in say in 5 years. Like is cable essentially obsolete at that point? Is like streaming going to be completely just taking over everything at that point?
It's slowly making its way, because CBS, I think, and Viacom are releasing Paramount Plus with all that.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's like CBS All Access, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like everything there. So like every network, you got NBC with Peacock. You have ABC with that's Disney Plus. Really, ESPN, Hulu. You have Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
You have now, which I now have, Discovery Plus, and a whole crapload of
Amazon
channels
Prime.
and thing. Amazon Prime, YouTube,
Disney,
obviously,
yeah,
Disney.
Disney Plus.
Everything is just going. How many streaming services I have paying for?
I mean, the good thing is though we kind of eliminate one of them, obviously, with this move here, and
right.
I'm still. Just and to the timing as well, because as you know, Matt, a like month from that like launch date is like WrestleMania, which is where you're going to have most of the people who actually tune into wrestling are going to be on that show there.
And if you
So
get the casuals on that app,
exactly.
and you get that for free, imagine 10 years ago, we don't have to pay like we're paying $75 for WrestleMania. And you tell me, oh, in 2021, you don't have to pay for WrestleMania anymore. It's included, and you'd be like, "Ha!"
By the way, do you ever foresee a scenario where they pull a like ESPN and UFC did, where they will put a like second paywall for, say, a like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Rumble, and charge like $50 or so for those shows.
It wouldn't surprise me. It almost might be hard to go back from now.
Right.
Um, it
Especially
depends.
especially when they have just pounded into our heads. Do not purchase $50 or $60 for a pay-per-view. It's like $9.99. So it's
$9.99. Like, you don't have to pay. It's included. It's included. Oh, but wait, now you got to pay $50 again.
right.
If I wouldn't want it to be that much. If it was like, it'd be hard. It'd be
I
easier
feel
to
like
swallow if it was like 20. But
I feel like though
it's hard to go back.
I feel like though for a like big four show, it I think it would be okay. The only problem is they have already set a like precedent that like,
Yeah,
hey, we're not going
it's
to
hard
do
to
that,
go back.
right? So but I feel like if NBC had their choice, they would probably charge that because they want to try and like make back some of like what they're paying, and that I
Yeah,
feel like would be something that
I
they would probably consider.
I think probably getting rid of NBCSN, that saves money. Subscription. Well, if you're paying for Comcast, right? They raised stuff there. That goes to NBC. That's NBC. If you're paying for the service, you're getting $4.99 and $9.99. Let's say $10 a month. That's about $120 a year times, let's say, 1 million people. So 120 times a million, it's 120. Let's say 120 million, if my math is correct. From 1 million people. So you're making bank, and if they're only paying $4.99, you get ads.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably making money too. They're probably it's gonna pay off, probably pay for itself down the line.
Right.
Because I don't think they would spend that much if they didn't think they could make money off of it. Not even close. I don't know, but it's just one of those big other shifts in TV. You had UFC and ESPN Plus. With that, now you have all of WWE's stuff like included. Everything's going streaming. Like, it's weird. Like, everybody says WWE like pioneered the pay-per-view. Then they're pioneering the streaming service because 2014 they launched. You didn't have all of these streaming services as we have now. You had your Netflix, and Amazon Prime, but you didn't have all these individual streaming services. So I don't want to say they were ahead of the time, WWE, but they went in the direction they saw which was happening, and look where we are now. So
yeah,
I mean, it was the early taste of what life is now.
Right, and they were really, I mean, outside of like Netflix, were really the first platform to really dive right into that and essentially kill the whole entire pay-per-view business. Because really the only other entities that were really in the pay-per-view model were obviously combat sports and MMA and boxing.
Those are the big ones that I've only really paid for.
Yep.
Because you would have, I'm not, besides like HBO and stuff like pay-per-view movies.
Yep.
Right now, it's all here's a pay something a month and you get to get
right
all the movies you want.
and just makes more sense
Yeah.
now.
And then other things digital, just another like video games. It was all you had to go to the store.
Mm-hmm.
You had to find that one guy working there to get the key to open up the glass. It's like Walmart and get the game. Now it's
Everything
you can
is
still do that. Now that each company has their own store, you can just download over the internet right to your system if you have the memory, or in some cases you can stream games over the internet. You can buy the right to stream it. And I did a trial on one game just to see how it would go, and if you have decent internet, it works. If it's not like a fighting game when you need like instant feedback, but that's stuff the way to go. And now look at shopping, Amazon. I can sit home and I can pretty much shop. We can order food. We did that last week or the week before. You order food to your house. You don't have to leave your house.
No, it's so advanced now, and I'm very
for the good or the bad.
And so far everything, at least from the company, everyone seems to be pretty happy. But as I said, there are goods and there are bads with everything, and the bads concern me. But I also feel like that definitely, if you're a talent whose contract is coming up, you should be asking for some more money. Like there's just
you got $2 billion. What the hell?
You got like three. You got three separate $1 billion contracts. Like,
what the hell?
Upper pay here. So, and that also brings up like, why are these guys still independent contractors? But that's a whole different.
That's a whole other debate for another day.
But now let's move on to Matt, UFC 257, which we saw the return of Conor McGregor, and to which there was a lot of really pissed off people. Our good friend Rhino, he was very sad after the show went off of the air there. And there were a lot of people surprised, and I said on the podcast last week, this is not an easy fight for Conor, and we saw why. And I think a lot of people were not really taking Poirier seriously. I mean, hell, even people such as like Dana said, yeah, I had to like on like media had to like say, hey, like, this is not, this is a legitimate top 5 lightweight contender. Like the only person that Poirier has lost to in the last 3 or 4 years has been Khabib. He's been the only person who's been able to actually beat him. And like he had one other loss against like Michael Johnson, but I think that was like back in 2016 or something like that. So it's, man, I was just shocked at how badly that Conor was just eating those freaking leg kicks. And like you could tell after like round 1, his leg was already shot. And I was like, this isn't good. And as we have seen in Conor fights, when they go past like one round, all bets are definitely off, and we saw that here because in the second round, Dustin was just letting his hands go. He eventually tags Conor, and he finishes him in the second round. And Matt, my initial thought is, and it's crazy to you think this, but is Conor possibly going on the downside of his career at this point?
Maybe. I don't know. because what he's lost this one. He's lost what last
Unlike
two of
Habib,
last
yeah,
two of three.
he beat Cowboy, but yeah, he lost against some Habib before that. And if you look at all of the top guys at 155, man, there are no easy fights. Like you look at like Dustin Poirier, you look at Charles Oliveira, unlike Michael Chandler, who had one of the most impressive UFC debuts I've ever seen. You have Hooker and Tony Ferguson. It's murders row. I'm like Justin Gaethje. Like it just there are tough fights everywhere, and I'm not sure how committed that Connor is to continuing to actually fight, because I think we have seen if you're not in the cage consistently, whereas with these other guys who are constantly training or constantly fighting, they're constantly are getting better. Whereas Connor, he's fought very sparingly in the last 3 or 4 years. Credit for him, he's able to actually do that since obviously from the Floyd fight he made over 800 million. But at the same time, he sacrificed a lot of time in just continuing to train, and just I was just more surprised that he just wasn't able to combat or try to defend those freaking kicks, and man, like the blueprint has been set for future guys who are gonna fight him. Like until he fixes that, like he needs to find something, man, because I'm not exactly sure where he goes from him. Like, do they do a third fight with like Nate? Do they do a trilogy fight with Poirier? Does he fight Justin Gaethje? Like, there's like a lot of question marks to say the least. Did anything really surprise you about this fight?
Um, I no. I mean, how much he got tagged, maybe a little bit, but I didn't go in and expect it to be a obviously a close fight. I don't think one side on either side, but the result is not shocking. Just got how he just got like his ass kicked in the end a little bit, because that's a hell of an image and memes that happened after that, with him like laying, looking like he was sleeping. But yeah, this is like the turning point. Either he goes away, he comes back again. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, but man, the other thing on this card though, man, freaking Michael Chandler, definitely, definitely made his name known. That's for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Um, I knew that he could definitely beat Hooker, but man, I was not expecting a first round domination, and that's what it was. Hooker looked he looked flustered. I'm not exactly sure what he was doing, whether he was trying to like feel him out, or what here. But I'm like, dude, have you not seen a single Michael Chandler fight? I haven't seen Chandler fight for essentially for the last 4 or 5 years now. The man comes out like a freaking bat out of freaking hell every single fight. Like it just, you should know his freaking style, and it just seemed like that he wasn't really prepared here or something. I don't know, but it was just really shocking how passive that he seemed to actually be here. But man, Chandler just kept the pressure on, hit him with a nasty left hook and put him to sleep. And I think is the most impressive UFC debut I've ever seen. And for how much that this company was hyping him up, it's very rare that someone actually someone that actually fights as good as the company was hyping them up to be, because we have seen past Bellator guys who haven't done well on the first fight. See Eddie Alvarez, who fought Cowboy Cerrone. I want to say that was back in 2015ish or something, and like he lost. Will Brooks as well. He didn't do as well either. So it was, but man, like that promo afterwards, man, he went full flare. He went full like Taz here. Like it was
Calling out everybody.
calling out everybody. Like it just like that was the perfect freaking storm right there. Because now people who don't know who Chandler is definitely know who Chandler is now, and and he had an amazing interview as well on like Pat McAfee's show. I believe it was yesterday on like Tuesday, and just the personality and the charisma that this man has, he's going to be able to definitely sell shows just because he has that ability to, which I know for certain Dana is going to absolutely love about this guy. And now for him, he's definitely in that title mixer. I know, like for me, I definitely want to see him versus Dustin. But I have a feeling that they probably are going to do Poirier versus Oliveira. And I could also see them doing Chandler versus Gaethje. You could do Chandler versus Tony. I mean, like there's a lot of different ways that they can go with a Michael Chandler here. But I'm really excited. Matt, thoughts on that co-main there?
Oh, that should be a really good fight. That's pretty much it. I don't know as much as you, casual here, but just know when I know, I would really would like to see that fight.
Yeah.
I can't. I would. That'd be great.
And it just the personality that really show, because man, I tell you, Matt, like we sucked on that night as far as like betting was concerned. We got our asses just handed.
Rebus. I'm calling it rebus.
Yeah, it was just like there was just so many upsets on this card tonight, and for some pretty big favors too, because we both picked Khalil. We both picked Khalil Roundtree, who I believe was at least a like minus 330 or something like that. Amanda Heba, she was like almost a like minus 400. So it was like Jesus, like just all of these favorites were just losing, and I'm sure it was really pissing off a lot of people because they were like, man, like just sometimes, man, in MMA, you just never know, man, and this is why it's so different from like boxing, just because typically in boxing, if you're a high favorite, you're typically the person is gonna win. Whereas in MMA, there are so many ways to freaking lose. It's sometimes is just a freaking toss up. And hell, the fact that Connor was even a like minus 300, and they even released odds after this. If Connor and Dustin were to have a like rematch, he's still a slight favorite. I'm like, what the hell?
I swear when I made the bet, I swear when I saw it, it wasn't that. I swear to God, it wasn't that big of a favorite.
Yeah, he was.
I think at the end live,
or
I think initially, I don't know.
It could change up by like fight time, but I think early Saturday afternoon, I want to say he was at least a minus 300 or 285. Yeah, so I'm like, put money down on Dustin, and man, so yeah, so now, the next pay per view I believe is in about 2 weeks, which that's being headlined by Usman versus Burns. Not as big of a pay per view, but like March, definitely a lot of extremely big fights coming on there. We have like an Izzy versus Jan. I believe.
Oh yeah, I was wrong. It was 3:35. Okay.
Yep, yeah, I thought so.
And I made that on the 23rd.
Right.
Yep.
Peter Yan versus Aljamain. We have Ortega versus Volkanovski, and they also announced that Stipe versus Ngannou is also happening. So a lot of extremely good fights are coming. So definitely cannot wait for that. But yeah. So now, Matt, do you want to talk about some WandaVision now?
I do want to talk about some WandaVision.
So, yeah, some notes that I like wrote down here, Matt. Wanda, she like hates strangers. That is like number one. Number two, Vision, he loves having awkward conversations with his neighbors. And number three, I said, in one of these episodes, we better get a married with children theme for this season. If we don't, I'm going to be very angry.
Well, up. Send him to the crossroads.
Yeah, married with children theme.
I delete my Disney Plus account. I did not get what I want.
So that you want to be lonely. So that you won't be lonely. Yeah. But give me initial thoughts.
I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed all of them. It's getting more and more revealed. Of obviously everything is not what they seem. Everything is not what they seem to be.
Yeah.
Because at one point Vision is putting together like, wait a minute, nothing makes sense, and then he had a little glitch. And nothing happened. He wasn't the wiser. Whether that was Wanda or
no,
if it was the people watching him,
nope. That didn't happen.
Remains to be seen. You had the people, the towns, the neighbors. Presumably, when Vision was talking to him, know what's kind of going on, ish.
Yeah, because like he's still like not really noticing that everything is not exactly real.
Yeah, because if he's dead, things are not real. However, he's being in there. What's her face, Geraldine.
Yeah.
Mentioning because when Wanda's having twins, she mentions that she had a twin, and then she just goes like, your brother died from Ultron, right?
From
and she's like, what did you say? She's like, what? And then she like just shoots her out of wherever, and we saw at the end back into real life, and the I guess Sword comes and tries to pick her up, and she's landing there, and you kind of can see off the side to the right that a little area that I guess is contained to where everybody is, where Wanda is. So stuff's getting real here. It started off instantly enough, and then it teased some stuff that it's stuff's not as it seems. This episode really did it. It's like obvious what's happening here, and we're making progress. I can't wait for the next one just to see. Obviously, more is going to be revealed. I'm just interested to see how it happens. So what style? I guess we'll be in 70s, 80s.
Right.
I forget. I don't know which one's next.
I'm going to assume that it's probably going to be 80s. So like.
Yeah, I think it's 80s.
I'm going to guess that we're probably are going to be getting a like Cosby Show a Cosby Show like vibe. Possibly.
I don't know
for this one,
if
but
there's a preview out of what to expect, but yeah.
yeah, but
Oh, because
now, I mean, at the end of the episode, she was obviously giving birth to her children. So
mm-hmm.
it's like, and so I'm very interested to see how her children are going to be, because if you guys follow the comics, Vision and Wanda's children, I think they were part of like New Mutants or some form or
or
fashion
the
of
I
the
thought it was I swear I read like
X-Men.
the young I swear it
X-Men
was
or
like the
something.
Young Avengers or something. I swear I
No,
read
I
something.
I think they were part of
It
the
could be true. Yeah.
X-Men in some way. But very interested to see how that's going to go, because I'm not sure if you saw, Matt, but when they kicked out Geraldine, she was wearing the same exact clothes that like she
Yeah.
was wearing in that like reality. So one would assume once things are back to how they should be, her children are going to be alive there still. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting how
Yeah.
this is all going to play out.
Yeah, and the teaser, I guess, for this episode, it says pretty much shows off the world outside of Westview,
Mm-hmm.
and then the I guess the government agency looks like it says here. This is comicbook.com. Looks like Randall Park's Jimmy Woo might be making a return, might make an appearance. Also see Kat Dennings, Darcy Lewis as well. So I think we might have more um, outside of what's going on.
Right.
I from what I'm reading here, so it's gonna be interesting here.
Yeah, I agree, and we'll be covering episode 4 as we have been covering the recent episodes, and I believe we just have, I want to say, what, 5 episodes left, something like that.
Something like that.
So so yeah, so we will definitely be doing that. All right. So Matt, yesterday we had the news that the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame will not be inducting any any new any new members for this upcoming year. And I tell you, I don't know about you, but this whole process just really it just irritates me to like no end. Just the freaking politics that are involved in this are just really frustrating. What did you think of this? And
It's I think just the whole steroid era is come to a head.
yeah,
Because look who was leading.
yeah,
I think some people. I think just the steroid era has put a stain on baseball at that time. That I don't know if they could come back, because you can only be on the ballot for so long.
which by the way, that's a big topic, because if you heard like Kurt Schilling's rant that he requested to be off of the actual ballot next year, because obviously him and Barry Bonds only have like one more year left on the ballot there. So
Yeah.
oh man,
And
like
things get weird because everybody hates his politics,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
it's a big Trump
it's
guy.
a
Yeah,
it's a I don't think that takes away from what he did on the field. Shouldn't. There's arguments of that the Hall of Fame is a museum, and if you want to put something like information that people walk through, like accused or had did steroids, here's the numbers,
mm-hmm.
blah 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 blah, you can. I don't have strong feelings one way or another, to be honest, because I see both sides. I'm not throwing my hands up in the air like, oh,
I mean, definitely for me, I think it's a crime and shame that like Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame, because to me, even like before of these steroid allegations, he was already a Hall of Fame player, in my opinion. So like his allegations began around 2001, 2002 ish, somewhere around there. Um, and he at that point, I think, already had over like 400 home runs and or pretty close at like 500 at that point. So it was just, and just to me, his on base percentage, his slugging percentage, the amount of freaking walks that this man got is just insane. When you really think about it, but a lot of those people who actually vote have set a precedent. If you were linked to any sort of performance enhancing drugs, they just simply will not vote you in. Perfect. An example of that is like a Ron Cook here in Pittsburgh. He has been on the like record. He will not vote for Clemens, Bonds, Sosa, McGuire, Palmeiro, etc. Which I understand. I just don't think that it's right because we're essentially trying to eliminate a good portion of history, while it's still, I think, a debate to a certain degree of how much do like steroids actually help you in like baseball. Because to me, if anything, the only benefit that performance enhancing drugs has in baseball, Matt, is recovery. Whereas if you are in sports such as like MMA and like football and boxing, they will clearly help you in your performance. Whereas here, I'm not exactly sure how much that would actually help here. But I'm afraid that it isn't going to really change. And I mean, as far as things currently stand now, I don't think that these guys will ever get in the Hall of Fame. It's just,
it's a cloud over baseball that it happened and they chose it, and we're living with the consequences.
Yeah. So yeah. And lastly, the final thing I want to discuss this week, Matt, was a surprising news that came across this afternoon, and that was that like GM Jim Rutherford stepping down as the Penguins GM. Needless to say, Matt, this was pretty shocking, especially when you find out as well that this isn't actually health related. So, which makes me ask, what's going on here, sort of thing.
From what I'm reading, I guess, and it's probably more under the surface, I guess he just felt maybe he's just old, and maybe he just felt it was time. I don't.
It just the timing of this just seemed really weird.
It feels off, but
it feels extremely off here because
there's probably more than he's not sharing.
I'm sure
he doesn't really have to, but I guess it's just because sooner or later, obviously, he was in his 70s. He was gonna go regardless.
Yeah, and he was in the final year of his contract, so more than likely he was going to be stepping away after this season. But just a little bit surprising. In the team, they also did announce that they will be actively going through their process to try and find a new GM. I would imagine that they will probably try and get this done soon, because I'm sure it's not something that they want to have like linger here. I'm very interested to see who they're going to interview, who they would like to actually bring in. It's all going to be very, very interesting. But as far as a Jim's legacy, Matt, in like Pittsburgh, how would you kind of
I
sum it
would,
up?
I would, I would put it positive. He made some good moves. He made some bad moves, but orchestrated the. But one to be remembered for is orchestrating, putting together a team that won back to back
Yep.
Stanley Cups, which is hard to do, and he just pulled the right moves. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not every move's gonna be a home run, but those certainly help. And when you look back, it'd be like, yeah, he didn't make all the best moves, but when he was on, he's on, and they won back to back. That almost trumps everything.
Yeah, definitely.
He
And
came in a short, in what 2014,
yeah,
and
yeah, I
in what
believe.
2 years, won back to back.
Yeah, obviously his biggest trade is going to be acquiring Phil Kessel from
Yep.
Toronto, and definitely him getting guys such as like Justin Schultz and Trevor Daley. In for some reason, Chicago wanted Scuderi on that awful contract. I'm like,
I ain't gonna question it.
hit send now, hit
And
send now, accept,
and
accept.
found
Yeah.
and found you got people like Haglin, got Nick Bonino, people
Like I'm
like
Hornquist.
Hornquist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got that deal done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just pieces like that, that you look back are like just
Yeah.
were just great acquisitions, great gets. Um,
I
yeah, so
but with him being gone, like one has to wonder about like Mike Sullivan and his standing, because you would think when they eventually bring someone in, how secure is his job going to be? Just because obviously,
I,
with a
I,
like new GM, you really don't know,
I think. I think he's safe for now. I don't think anybody's going to come in and just tear it up. Like no, because he's been winning. It's
Yeah.
obvious.
But I
Um,
definitely think within like 2 years, I think this team is going to be in like a like rebuilding phase. I mean, hell, yeah, it's early in the season, but you kind of are already seeing age with guys such as a Gino and Chris Letang right now.
yeah,
They're it's definitely showing. Whereas like Sid, he's still looks like he's fine as
yeah.
as usual, but it's just
There's a lot for this new GM to do.
right because they're going to have to be sooner are going to have to make some really tough calls here as guys are getting older,
And it's going to be interesting. His first big test is the deadline. How does he? What does he do? Depending on
defenseman
what the
defenseman.
defenseman. What what strings can he pull? What deals does he make? Depending on where the team's sitting at. Obviously, if they're in the playoff standings or close, you buy.
Which I mean, at like this point, we would come to assume that they're going to be contenders here. So
Yeah, you assume because everybody talks about the window. That's obviously closing because contracts are up.
Yep.
So it's gonna be tough to. How far do you go to add pieces, defensemen, to get the last mileage out of everybody together
yeah,
without like mortgaging the future? But
yeah, because
that's
because
that
like
phrase around here in Pittsburgh.
Sid, Gino, Latang. I
The
mean, like
core.
that core, like their time is ticking here, and more specifically with a Gino who is 34, Latang I want to say is like 33 ish. So it's just and you're definitely seeing like age and like wear and tear. It's starting to really wear. And as these guys are getting older, it's going to take longer for them to sustain that. And can this team can this team stay healthy? And as we're seeing right now, Matt, defensemen are falling like freaking flies right now.
One of
Um,
those years.
yeah, just so it's going to be something that when that like new guy comes in, you're gonna have to figure out, okay, to try and to stay winning, what moves do we have to make? Because I do think at some point that they're gonna have to consider trading one of those guys, because to me the only untouchable on this team is Sid. Sid to me,
Yeah.
he will never be anywhere else. But guys like Gino and like Letang, I can't say that confidently, just because I don't feel like they're going to be lasting as long in their primes as Sid will. But that's all things that we'll come to find out soon. But so far, I mean, the team is playing okay, and the fact that they have like 9 points for how poorly that they have played so far this year is nothing short of a freaking miracle. Um, and like last night's game, I mean, I don't know how they even got a freaking point last night, but hell, I'm not complaining. So
Yeah, I'm not gonna question it.
no, for certain. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to about like do it here. Matt, was there anything else you wanted to talk before we close out here?
No, I think we covered everything.
All right. So yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in, and also thank you for tuning into our professional wrestling live sh- live stream. We talked Raw, um, AEW, NXT, SmackDown, and also gave our our Rumble predictions. We also are going to be doing a live reaction show following Rumble on Sunday night. So definitely be tuned into that. And yeah, so as always, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at MJ Make a Podcast, and we shall see you guys on Sunday. So for Matt and for John, we shall see you later.
Mm-hmm.